and go on
from Dragon Ball Z, and you're listening to the Monsters with Attitude podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, embrace the attitude! Yeah!
Hi, this is Alan Henry. I play King Kong and Scar King in the Monsterverse, and you're listening to the Monsters with Attitude podcast. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and remember, embrace the attitude! Yeah!
Hi there, I'm David Fielding, and I played the original Zordon in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Alpha, Rita and Lord Zed have returned. Their attack on Angel Grove is imminent. We must summon the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen. Call the Monsters with Attitude. The only way to defeat them is by subscribing to all their social medias. May the power protect you. And if all else fails, embrace the attitude.
What's going on, Monsters with Attitude? I am your host, Joe, head of the table. Not really, but anyway, I'm very excited to talk with all of you tonight about a little hidden gem of Toho cinema, in my opinion. Orochi, the eight-headed dragon, a.k.a. Yamata Takeru, a.k.a. Yamata no Orochi. But joining me is my brother from another mother, and the birthday boy himself, Mr. Adrian Settle. Go ahead.
Okay. What's up, Kaiji family? Got today.
I'm sorry. What was that, Adrian? I overtalked you.
No, you're good. I'll just asking how everyone's doing today. Yesterday was actually my first time watching this film, so pretty excited to talk about it.
Right on, right on. And joining us is our other brother from another mother, the man not from the East, but from the West, the legendary warrior himself, Mr. Samson. How are you?
Yeah. Good to go, yo, Joe. Yeah, since I finally got to get my hands on this gem, as you said, and it truly is. Seeing it last night, what a wild ride. I can't believe I hadn't seen this one before, because in all honesty, I'm just going to go ahead and say it was good. It was damn good. Well, I mean, not damn DAM good, because Adrian disagrees with that, but it was damn good.
Do you have, I should have asked you this before we went live, do you have the slides?
Slides?
Yeah, the questions. If not, I'll just read them off. It's no problem.
No, I'm sorry. I did not know that I was supposed to be making slides, because you sent me those like just 2 days ago. So I was like, oh crap.
Way to go, Samson. Way to go. No, it's all good. So we're actually gonna filibuster here for a few, because we're waiting for Jordan to join us whenever he decides to join us. I don't know, he must be taking a nap or
when
something.
He decides to make himself known.
Yeah, and then Eric is also running a few minutes late, which we knew. His daughter's birthday parties today, so he'll be a few minutes late as well. But in the meantime,
happy. Oh,
go ahead. I'm not singing.
No, it's. I did enough of that last night, so we're all good. Adrian got his fill of happy birthdays.
So let's start there. What did you do for your birthday, Adrian? Did you get any good goodies, Godzilla stuff or kaiju stuff?
Got nothing Godzilla related. not this year.
No,
probably next week. I'll probably pay some stuff off pay off my birthday present for myself.
Yeah,
but I'll see what that is.
Well, you're in the process of buying a house, so you have to be kind of good and not waste a bunch of money.
There's your damn birthday present.
You bet I'm paying for it though. So
yeah.
You're an adult. We pay for our own birthdays. That's how it works.
So while we're waiting here, have you guys seen the Godzilla vs. Evangelion pachinko machine? The new game that's coming out in Japan, and there's a trailer. Did you guys see it has Kaiser Ghidorah making his grand return after 20 years?
I heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet.
So if you guys haven't seen that trailer, it is in our Facebook group, the Monsters with Attitude, Godzilla and Tokusatsu Collectors group, and it's really cool. It's following the line of the Godzilla Evangelion team ups, and this time they're fighting Kaiser Ghidorah, which, like I said, Kaiser Ghidorah is coming back for the first time after 20 years, and he looks fantastic. He looks very almost exactly like he did in Final Wars, except for they fixed some of the fans' nitpicks that they had with his design, most notably how small Kaiser Ghidorah's wings are. It looks like they made them a lot bigger, and it actually fits his body more. And
Cool.
because I mean, those of you that know me know I am a huge Kaiser Ghidorah fan. So to me, it was great to see him back, and that was always one of my biggest complaints was how small the wings are. So yeah, it was great to see him back, and it was great to see him with bigger wings. I wish you guys would have seen that.
Yeah, I think I did just see the Kaiser Ghidorah part, but I think it was only for like a split second. I saw it on Instagram. I didn't get to see it all in its entirety. But I mean, it seems pretty interesting, and it's great that Kaiser Ghidorah did get a pretty nice 3D design. Granted, maybe it's been small things here and there, but it does make the difference on the kaiju. So definitely happy to hear that.
The fact that they've held on to that suit for 20 years and are still able to utilize it again, that's
it's CGI. It's all CGI.
Oh, all right.
It looks fantastic. It looks great. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that too. Well, while we're waiting, let's check out the chat and see who's here with us. As always, Oscar. What's going on, Oscar? Thanks for joining us. Jake Hamburg says, "What's up? What's going on, Jake? Jake, what Kamen Rider is that? I'm very ignorant when it comes to Kamen Rider, and it is something that I definitely want to start to try to check out because the clips and I don't know, pieces of video or whatever that I have seen looks pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Power Rangers, so it kind of looks very similar to that. So I'm interested in checking it out. Nathaniel Plummer, as always, he says, "Hi, I never saw Orochi, and it isn't free on YouTube either, so I won't stay here today. I'm going to watch King Kong Lives for the 1,000th time. Kick ass." Well, Nathaniel, if you want to watch our video first and get our impressions of it, and then I don't know, maybe you want to watch it first and make up your own mind. Let's see. Oh yes, Oscar coming in with the save. Nathaniel, if you have Twitch, MWA does movie nights every weekend, and we did ours yesterday, right, guys?
Yeah, typically we do them on Saturdays, but we did ours last night just because this show was happening today. We had to prep ourselves for this film. I was lucky enough to snag a copy online. It's very bare bones and basic, but yeah, we all watched it last night, and it is a wild ride. It is very different from anything else I've ever seen from Toho. And that's saying something because like Toho can do whatever the hell they want, and they did for this film, and it was great.
All right, let me finish up with the chat here, and then we'll jump in and we'll catch Jordan and Eric up whenever they decide to show up. Jake says, "Sadly, I missed last night. I had my wedding anniversary." Hey, happy anniversary, Jake. We got 2 birthdays and a wedding anniversary.
Clearly, you have your priorities set straight.
Ghidorah Stan, our very own Christian, he says, "Hello, gang." Let's see. Bobby Reynolds, "Hello, my friend." Oh, and I guess this is the answer to my question. It must be Kamen Rider Phase. That's the next series we're covering on Henshin Power version 3 or V3. That must be his podcast. If you guys are interested in Kamen Rider, check it out. So, all right. Well, then, without further ado, we've been filibustering for 10 minutes here. But let's just get into it, and then we'll catch up Jordan and Eric once they get here.
I'm good to go.
Question 1, Adrian, I'll go to you. I just want to know, what expectations did you have before seeing the film? And then once you kind of saw it, what did you think after? Did you like have a preconceived idea of what this story, what the plot, what everything was going to be? And was it what you expected? Was it completely different? Tell us why.
Well, honestly, whenever I come to a new movie, I try to have too many expectations for it. I kind of want to go into the movie just with everything that's fresh on my mind and just being able to just take it from the bare bones of what the film is going to end up being. So I really didn't have any expectations for it. But as far as actually watching how I felt afterwards, honestly, it was nothing that I expected. It was a really wild trip, honestly, and it was a very interesting story that really took me to a different place I don't visit too often, as far as the world of fantasy and stuff. So I was highly impressed by it after actually seeing the film, and I was really happy with the way that film did end up going.
So you really didn't have a lot of feelings one way or the other prior to seeing it. You didn't think it was going to be one kind of film, and it turned out to be.
No, not in this case. Not like some films that we know, 2014, but
Yeah.
I didn't go with any expectations. I was pleasantly surprised, with that being said.
Samson, what about you, bud?
I kept myself in the dark as much as I could on purpose because I wanted to be surprised as to everything that took place in the film, and I was. I mean, yes, I knew about most of the kaiju. Some of them I was like, "Whoa, I don't like the big lava dude, the god of whatever that I had no idea about him."
I think it's Kuma Sagami.
I don't know anybody's names. Are you kidding me? I couldn't keep up with that. Except Oto. That was easy as hell. That I could keep up with. But yeah, I kept myself in the dark. And as far as I know, like what you guys gave me a basic idea of is think very like a never-ending story, Willow, just very fantasy, magical, that kind of concept, and keep that in mind. And I did, and it did remind me of that, a very Japanese version of fantasy, wonder, and all that kind of theme. And yeah, everything that took place, it was great. The story was a little confusing. It was slightly hard to follow from like straight from the beginning, but I caught on after a little bit. There was a lot of like the backstory with certain characters, and then who was who in relation to like father son and all that kind of stuff. Luckily, the very kind people in the chat were able to keep me up to date on things, because I was like, wait, who's the king asshole McGee to the prince in this? And I was like, oh, he's the dad. Well, good going, dad. You're a one of a kind number one dad. But I loved it. I loved so much about it. And for a lot of you that know, I'm a very kind of, I'm not gonna say anti-Heisei, but it's not my favorites it's not my favorite era. But this movie was completely different in its own regards.
Right on. Yeah, I have to say, what I knew about it prior to seeing it was the figures. Like when I
should have mentioned that. Yeah, the toys, the monsters.
By all means, go ahead.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's the Bandai Orochi figure, which is huge, and I looked it up as we were watching, and I was like, all right, let's see how much this thing is. $177, $244, blah blah blah. There's like 3 of them on eBay, and they're all pretty expensive. I don't know how much they initially ran for, but pricey guys.
I believe so. To finish my point, the first thing I saw about it was the Bandai's, like you were just saying, Samson, and it was probably at my first G-Fest, because I feel like the Orochi Bandai, somebody always has it, and they always have it kind of in a predominant position to show it off, because it's a very large figure, no exaggeration. It's probably this long, and it's probably, I don't know, 1.5 feet long, maybe 1 foot tall, something like that. It's a pretty big figure, especially for back in the day. There really wasn't too many Bandais or figures of that size, so it always stood out to me. I was able to get all the Bandais for it, I don't know, for maybe under $200 for all of them, which at the time was real. Well, I mean, keep in mind that's 24 years ago. So, probably that, at the time that was expensive, but it compared to today when just Orochi himself is probably $200. Yeah, so that was kind of my first introduction to Yamato Takeru or Orochi the Eight-Headed Dragon was seeing the figures, and then a friend of the show, Diane from Clawmark, she always had posters, and she had I remember several posters from Yamato Takeru back in the her and Tom, her husband Tom, and I was like, man, like I got to see this movie, and it probably wasn't. Like I said, this is 2000, 2001, and I probably didn't see Orochi until maybe 07, between 07 and 2010, something like that. And so going into it, I didn't realize how fantasy, adventure, Lord of the Rings meets Sinbad meets, Godzilla, it was going to kind of be. I thought it was going to be Orochi and Itsunugani, the warrior, the god of light. I thought it was going to be kind of like them fighting, kind of almost like a Godzilla film type of thing. So I was kind of caught off guard. I was a little surprised by first watching it, and then obviously watching it, and I think that my feelings about it after seeing it they're not negative, but I can't say that I was like, holy cow, it's not a go-to film for me. I've probably only seen it, I would say, less than 5 times. It's fun every time I watch it. I enjoy it, but it's just not one of my go-to. So after seeing it, it did not meet expectations, because not in a negative way, but just because it was so different than what I was expecting.
You're gonna let the cat out. It's meowing like crazy.
All right. So, all right. Rate this film with Toho's other non-Godzilla Toku films. So meaning, Matango, Mysterians, Atragon, I'm trying to think whatever other ones off the top of my head. How would you
Piran, Mothra, let's see.
Well,
non-Godzilla.
Well, Mothra, yeah, I mean, I consider Mothra in the vein of, yeah, in the universe of Godzilla. So those other kind of sci-fi adventure Toku films from Toho. Toho. Samson, you want to start first?
Of course, while I'm chewing.
Okay, Adrian, you go.
Well, no one told you to have something in your mouth, Samson, first of all. As far as the other Toho, not Godzilla films, but non-Toho Godzilla films, that's actually a really tough question, Joe. That was a good question, because I mean, especially since I've only seen this once, I don't know where I would rank it with everything else that we've gotten that I've seen so far. I would say it's probably a little bit more fun than Atragon, but I would say Matango is better than that. Maybe on the same level as Space Amoeba. So it's kind of hard to put it somewhere, but I guess you could say it's probably close to the top of tier. But again, I'll have to watch it more than once to be able to give a definitive answer. But for me, it's something I would definitely go back and revisit, just like some of the other non-Godzilla Toho films.
For sure. Samson?
I'm going to put it pretty high because I had a blast last night. For those of you that were there, you saw my reaction on screen. And that's pretty much the only way we get away with doing what we do is it's not streaming. It's a commentary video. So I'm going to put it pretty high. As Adrian stated, better than Atragon, which is a slow burn. I'm actually going to place it above Matango, which I also felt like was a slow burn, but still good. I'm not saying these are bad films. I'm just saying that I'm going to put it above. But I had a blast. This was right up my alley. I love the whole like wild, crazy, fun this was basically like a Hollywood. It was a Hollywood film. It was it's basically it's a popcorn flick. It's a popcorn flick for Toho. And I'm not saying you have to be dumb to watch it, but it you can just sit back, relax, and just enjoy the hell out of it. It is kind of a turn your brain off and enjoy kind of film. So I'm going to put it pretty high. I really enjoyed it. I said that a lot last night too. I said I really, really liked it.
Right on. No, I wouldn't say, because I guess in this category too, I would consider like King Kong Escapes, Frankenstein Conquers the World, Bobby Reynolds in the chat, he brings up War from Space. I have to say that I probably enjoy this more than the others. I would say it's probably in the top 2 or 3, even though I'm not huge on Toho's other non-Godzilla works. I've seen them all, I own them all, and I will watch them all. But they're just, again, it's like I was saying before, it's not really my go-to. I think it's a great film. I think it's a fun film. It definitely has its problems for sure. I agree with you, Samson, when you were talking about it, the story seemed a little kind of convoluted and almost rushed. Like they were.
I said that last night. It was like when it jumped from scene to scene. I was like, wait, hold on. Did we miss a chunk of the story? How did we get here?
Yeah. I was actually well, I'll get to this part in a little bit, but I appreciate what they did, and to me it's the same as all the other non-Toho work or non-Godzilla Toho works that they've done. They're fun, they're kind of popcorny, they're in their own little universe type of thing. And I applaud them for trying something different and doing something different. I'm glad they did it. Because I do think it's a fun film, and you'll hear me say this a lot about all the majority of films, anyways. That I enjoy being able to kind of turn my brain off. That is something that I personally really look for, to be able to turn my brain off from current events, from politics, from work, from whatever, life, the stresses of life.
I was going to say stress.
Yeah, and be able to get my brain going and thinking of, oh, what if a movie did this, or what if the story was this, or oh, what did this lore mean? They only kind of touched on it. Like I enjoy that, to being able to turn my brain off to serious stuff and stressful stuff and immerse myself into the fun and fantastical, which I do think this movie does. So
it's a good word.
I will rank this pretty high, I think, because I think I have seen it probably more than most. So I'll probably give it top 3-ish, top 5-ish for sure.
I was going to say, if I were to rank it, like if I were going to be like very realistic, I would put it at about 8 out of 10. If I were to go out of 10, I'd say 8 out of 10, because it does, as we say, it does have, there's some, the story is kind of confusing.
A little bit.
It's not too hard to follow once you get into it, but it begins very confusingly. Yeah, that's a word. It starts very just like all of a sudden, boom, you're thrown into all this shit. You're like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to really nitpick down to it, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10, which is not saying that it was not a fantastical film, as you stated.
Right. Anything else on this before we move on? No,
I guess not. Yeah, bring it on.
So there are some familiar faces in Yamata Takeru. If I don't know if we necessarily have to go in order per se for this one, but off the top of my head, the main girl, I believe she is the actress that plays Belvira in the Rebirth of Mothra films.
Oh,
the evil Mothra twin, if I'm recognizing her correctly.
Is it?
Ooh,
that is her. You're right.
Still not there yet.
I know, you slacker. Continue,
Oh
Joe.
yeah, you haven't seen the Rebirth of Mothra film. That is something.
It's on the list. That is on because it's trilogy. We're kind of biding our time to hop into that. But yeah, that is on the list.
Yeah, it's the Rebirth of Mothra films are such guilty pleasures of mine. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I love them. I mean, those are definitely some that I grew up on big time. So but yeah, so the evil Mothra Fairy Belvira, I'm not even gonna try to attempt the actress and actor's name.
Spoiler alert. God.
Then the main guy himself was the main guy from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, the Garuda guy.
That's right. That's who he also was. When we were okay, you weren't there, but Eric did ask. He was like, "Does everybody recognize him?" And I was like, "The Super X3 pilot." So that's where I went. My brain went Super X3 pilot.
He is
You're right.
Super X3 pilot, but he was also the Garuda pilot from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2.
Wow, damn.
Yep. Exactly. And then Katagiri from Godzilla 2000.
I immediately screamed Katagiri as soon as I saw him when the crystal burst. I just I was immediately recognized him.
He plays villains very well.
His stare.
Yeah, his just his eyes, his like beady eyes, and he's got that villainous villainous look. So
the wide eyes and the eyebrows, just
and there was another, and I can't remember. I don't know. Did you guys see anybody else that was a familiar face?
It was
looking at the cast, Kochi. I'm not gonna try and pronounce his last name, but he was like one of the generals in Godzilla vs. Biollante, like most of the Heisei films.
Oh, I heard a bloop.
Yes. Oh well, look who decided to join us.
No.
You look very ready to be here too.
Yeah,
right?
I am ready.
Yeah, what are you doing? Riding in the car?
He's in the car.
Yeah, I'm in the passenger seat.
Yes, you're not a passenger princess. You know this.
No, you're
I'm
like
passenger princess.
Jordan doesn't have a driver's license, so he's gonna.
That's how dedicated I am to this shit.
Gotta be. It was revoked. Well, Jordan, thank you for
hold your
making
phone the right
time
way
out of your so busy schedule to join us. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It won't let me turn it, so
never mind.
That's all right.
So since you just jumped on, Jordan, I'm gonna let you kind of take center stage for a minute. I'll ask you a few questions to get you caught up to where we are now. So question one was, what expectations did you have before seeing this film for the first time? And then what were your thoughts after seeing it for the first time?
Oh, so
No, it's okay. Clear your throat first.
Last night wasn't your first time, right? You'd seen it before.
No, I've definitely seen it before. This is like maybe my third time seeing it. Yeah, it's my third time seeing it. Ironic, it's the second time I've seen it with a friend of mine who I'm introducing the movie to. But my first initial experience beforehand, I had no expectations at all. I was just hoping that this was a good movie, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I guess what kind of helped me to really get into it was that there were a lot of familiar actors in this, and then obviously Kenpachiro Satsuma, who was in the Orochi suits, was much more needed of a confidence in me to go ahead and watch it. Oh, and then Hurricane Ryu, the guy who played the Heisei Ghidorah, played the lava monster in the movie. So that was another like, hey, you know what? Let me tune into this. And it's funny, when I was getting into watching the movie, I was just on a whole binge on just making my boosting up my status, in a sense, to actually say that I watched it. after watching it, literally the first person, and this is way before I even became a member in MWA, the first person I called was my was my good old friend Malik, and I'm like, dude, I got another good movie for you to watch, and you have no clue what you're getting yourself into. And this is again as another person who is a huge fan of Godzilla, and I put him onto it, and he goes, Jordan, I felt like the Lord was speaking to me in this movie. It is a phenomenal film. For anybody that is tuning in to today's show, if you guys have not watched it, it is a highly recommended movie. And I'm pretty sure we could all say this now with the utmost confidence, specifically aiming towards Adrian and Samson, being that yesterday was their first time watching it.
I lost my V card.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Jordan, question 2. Rate this film with Toho's other non-Godzilla Toku films.
Oh,
So-
yeah, we were like that too.
So, Frankenstein Conquers the World,
War of the
Atragon, Mysterious,
Gargantuas.
Yep.
Oh my God. Latitude Zero.
Zero,
Oh
Atragon,
man, I'm still not there yet either.
Tango. Hell, you could even throw in like Gunhead and what did Bobby Reynolds say? War from Space, Dagora, Space Amoeba.
Would you throw the Rebirth of Mothra series in that as well?
So I wouldn't because, and I wouldn't even include War of the Gargantuas because to me that's all in the Godzilla universe.
Godzilla. Yeah.
Even Frankenstein Conquers the World, Baragon shows up.
Yes.
in Godzilla. So like, I don't know. That's just me. But if you want to, I don't care. But if we include the Rebirth of Mothra films, my answer is different. So, but do what you will. You're muted, Jordan. Jordan, you're muted.
Oh. Hey,
Now
can you
yeah,
hear me
yes,
now?
Yep.
Okay. Somebody was calling. That's right.
Bastard.
If I can, I would say, truthfully, in my top 5 non-Godzilla Toho movies. It'd be specifically at the number 5 spot, only because the other 4 is just, oh my God. Like, if it lived up, what the hell was that? Did anybody hear that?
Yeah, you're good.
Keep notification sounds like, but whatever.
The other 4 I would throw in there on top of Orochi is Latitude Zero, War of the Gargantuas, Frankenstein, and I'd say, I guess, Atragon. All, obviously classic Showa films. This being the only Heisei one outside of that, it's, oh my goodness. And there's so many other movies that I do need to watch and that I have watched that are non-Godzilla related made by Toho, but it's definitely a top 5 for me for sure.
Okay. That was kind of all of our answers. I think we all ranked it, relatively high. I wouldn't say any of us said it was number 1, but yeah, I think I said top 3, top 5 type of thing. But then if you include the Rebirth of Mothra films, Orochi would fall lower.
Yes,
because the Rebirth of Mothra films are pretty high for me. But
no, absolutely.
Again, that's just me. All right, moving on. So you actually brought this up earlier, Jordan, which is perfect timing because this is the question that we were on. Familiar faces, the cast of Yamata Takeru. There's definitely some returning and familiar faces from other Toho films, specifically Godzilla and Mothra. The ones that we have talked about so far was Belvira, the evil a sister from the
Yes.
Rebirth of Mothra films. There was the guy that was the Garuda pilot from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2.
Mhm.
He's the main character. And then obviously, I think the most famous one was probably Katagiri from Godzilla 2000. Did you notice others?
Come again, Joe?
You notice
Did
others.
you have you?
Oh,
Did you notice
no.
others?
Man, that's a good
Adrian, you
one.
were about to say somebody, and then Jordan jumped on.
It was.
You said
It
something about a
was
general from
one of the guys.
biology.
It was like one of the. Hold on, let me see. I can't even say his name. Koichi Uda. I know I said that incorrectly, but he was in quite a few Godzilla films also.
Yeah.
All the Heisei films basically. He was the general, or he was probably the Joint Chief, stuff like that.
Yeah. He was only in Orochi for a quick few seconds though. Right.
I think I was going to mention the same guy. Then he was, he comes in and he was the one that offered them all food. Is that I was going to say, oh my God, he's the guy with the mole on his head from GMK who was in the car with the chick, and then the bikers interrupted their love scene that he was about to have. But he's been in other stuff aside from that. But that's the one that I'm like, hey, it's that guy.
Other than whom, including what Adrian just brought up, besides those guys, I don't recall anybody else that I personally recognized from Godzilla in this movie. I'd say preferably it's definitely the main protagonist of the movie. I loved, and I'm probably leading on to another question. I loved the alter ego type of thing that was going on with that's has this is more so to you, Joe. I feel like you probably came across this. Have you ever seen the Toku film dedicated to infamous professional wrestling legend Jushin Thunder Liger?
I don't think so.
So it's kind of in the realm a little bit towards that. So basically, it's a little backstory behind the scenes of Jushin Thunder Liger, right? But obviously, the actor who's playing him outside the mask isn't the actual actor, but there's this weird kind of left curveball type shit of a turn that the movie goes into when he dresses up as Jushin Liger. He's going up against this demonic character at the end, and he thought the way to attempt to go up against him was obviously putting on the Jushin Liger attire. Let alone, I guess, what, including myself, viewers would have not known was that Jushin Liger had an alter ego, and literally the transformation scene it was literally if Jushin Liger was in Kamen Rider, or was like a Power Ranger supervillain, and he went bizarre. He was, growling, snarling, making all these like weird demonic facial expressions, even in his human form, and it kind of reminded me a lot of the main protagonist in this movie, which is why I loved it so much. I'm like, oh my God. The eye beam clash towards the end was
The I-beam clash was totally Heisei, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay, yep.
Okay, one person that stood out, I don't know if he was somebody that was actually in something else, but the wizard, like the good guy wizard, when they met up with him in the cave, he looked like somebody, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The one that like told our two heroes, the male and female heroes, like, go, you save the day, and like sent them off in front of the giant like bull statue. That wizard, whatever his name was, he looked really familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And I think it was because of the beard and the hair, but without that, he looked like he might have been somebody like an older version of an original Toho.
Yeah, maybe like definitely the Showa era.
He looked really familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and no one in chat said who it was either.
Yeah. Well, we all know that Toho and well, all of these Toku films and series are notorious for recycling cast and different roles, whether it's Godzilla or kaiju films or Sentai and Henshin, all of that stuff. I feel like they're kind of known for bringing back old actors or older actors in new roles. So, all right. Anything else on the familiar faces before we move on?
I suppose not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we covered it.
The kaiju of the film. I want to know who's your favorite and who would you like to see make a return? Let's go with Samson on this one.
Well, you gotta love Orochi. I mean, it's kind of a cop-out answer, but just how.
Before you answer, so let me go through it. There's Orochi, which is obviously the 8-headed dragon. There's Itsuno Ikazugami, which is the warrior, like Susanoo. There's Amano Shiratori, which is the bird. And then there's Kumosagami, which is the fire demon. And then there's like Kaishin,
the Leviathan looking thing.
Yeah, Kaishin Muba.
Muba.
Yeah, that's the water demon.
Yeah.
So
very Leviathan, very Kraken-esque looking kaiju. I mean, just because the mere presence of Orochi, how big he is, and how impressive that suit is, you have to give it to that because a lot went into that. Yeah, as Jordan stated, Ken Satsuma was he was in that suit. I'm not really sure what he did. It's like everything was on strings. I guess he moved the feet. It's like, okay, what could he really do? Just the presence of that suit and that creature was amazing. But if I'm going to go down the list like in order, next would have been you said the names, but I have no idea what they are still. The Leviathan Kraken looking guy, that was he was impressive looking, very very out of this world, very bizarre. And then after that, yes, our hero, very Dragon Zord looking esque dude. I was like, man, when that fight scene happened, I was like, man, somebody cue the Power Rangers theme song right now. Just let's somebody do an edit of that online and put it on YouTube. It needs to happen, because that would fit so well. And I was just, I heard it in my head. I was like, while the fight scene was happening. And then I guess next would be the lava demon, lava god, lava whatever it was. And then lastly, yeah, the bird. Very, very basic. Not too much. I mean, it was a puppet. It was a big. Yeah, that guy. He was impressive as hell.
Oh my god!
But I still like Orochi and our Kraken looking guys above him. But he was cool. He was definitely. It was like, all right, we got a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to give it to Orochi just for the pure fact of, I mean, his presence was alarmingly impressive.
For sure. So
he was creative though. This dude right here, I mean, just the ability to morph his arms into weapons and.
So Orochi was your favorite. Who would you like to see make a return?
Oh, that was the second part.
Or even this. Who would you like to see return and maybe fight Godzilla or fight Mothra or something in a future film? I mean, you could say Orochi for both. That's fine.
I mean, well, they killed the hell out of him, and I'm talking about the hell out of him at the end of that film. So it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know if he's kind of a manifestation kaiju though, so he can just come back if he wants to, I guess. If they make the Katagiri villain come, I mean, come on, they just threw that opal into space. It's like, all right, you're in prison forever, but bye. So we'll see you in Gamera next year. Yeah, you could technically say Orochi, because if we want to go into the rebirth of Mothra kind of aspect of things, she's always fighting some Ghidorah-esque villain in those movies. That universe that exists. Maybe not Godzilla, because it's like, all right, it's just another variant of Ghidorah, which we've seen a million of. How many different times can Godzilla fight Ghidorah? But I guess the same
monster.
Sure, what both of y'all said at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, I did, but I would like to see the hero. It's not really a kaiju. The hero monster, robot, whatever it was. Not the hero to come back. He was neat.
come back?
I would
The
actually like
warrior?
to see him come back. He would be cool in something. Like, hell, he can have his own franchise, like him fighting other mythical bad guys across time or something.
Right on. Adrian. So favorite kaiju out of the movie, and who would you like to see make a return?
So I'm actually going to use both as the same answer. Kinson Mumba, if I said that correctly.
The Kraken.
demon.
The water god.
Kraken.
Water god. I really actually really did love his dynamic in the movie. He really did a good job, really fucking up our heroes. Honestly, a little bit more than Orochi did, and honestly, he won by luck. The hood was won by luck because he was giving them the business. And I mean, and honestly, I think it's a really cool kaiju design as well, and something that I can definitely see Godzilla maybe having some fisticuffs with in the future as well. So I'm gonna go with that.
Jordan.
No, I agree with Adrian that I remember before watching the movie, and it's actually what convinced me to watch it, was that I forgot the name of
the cover.
Oh no, I
I'm
don't
talking to
think it
myself. I'm just talking to myself.
was. I came across this website that were selling just anything and everything Toho related, and I saw the Bandai figure of the water demon, and I was kind of like, "Ooh, what is this? This looks fancy. I want to get it. It's never been in a Godzilla, but I don't give a shit." And then when I looked into who it was and what movie he was in, I was like, no freaking way. This is in Orochi? I need to sit down and watch this freaking movie. That was the kaiju that convinced me to watch it. And I've seen clips prior to that, way beforehand of, the final battle scene and stuff like that. But none of that was what convinced me to watch it. It was actually the water demon. And it is a character I would have loved to see Godzilla duke it out with. I am a sucker for water kaiju. If not just that, but like anything like water related. Like you throw me in the beach, you guys will literally think that I'm on some mermaid type shit. Like I love the ocean. If I get the chance to, I'll always take up on that opportunity. It could be 2 degrees outside. And if there's a pool inside, I'm diving in there with no hesitation, without a care in the world. But yeah, that would be my pick. A good hard, like close to right underneath the bridge of the nose. Second place would have to definitely go to the Megazord freaking hero. I would rather prefer to see him aid Godzilla in the battle rather than for them to be duking it out alongside with the bird. If Godzilla were to be put in this movie, in this type of just aura and genre that was being told within the story, I could definitely see those two pull up to help aid Godzilla in a sense. But ultimately, it's the water demon.
All right, so he's hiding, but there he is. Like on the cover of the movie, he's very, very, very far in the background. You have to zoom in
That's
this
dope.
much to see him. So yeah, he is there. I was like, man, he's not even on the case, is he?
So your favorite Jordan was
The water demon. Yep.
And you want to see the water demon return?
Absolutely.
All right.
I think he said the Zord guy.
He said that was a close second.
Close second.
So I guess for me, I'm gonna be the generic one. I think my favorite is Orochi. I just think the potential there is really cool. But as far as one to make a return, I wouldn't be opposed for honestly any of them to make a return. I think they all have a great amount of potential. But I think, we already kind of have a multi-headed Hydra type monster in Ghidra. So I think I would go with either the fire demon or the water demon making their return just for something different. I would love to see that the water demon fight Godzilla underwater. That's think is really been lacking in Godzilla films is the amount
Oh,
of
absolutely.
water fights. But one thing
Yeah.
I did actually want to point out, I don't know if any of you guys are fans of the Godzilla comics.
Yes.
This is Rage Across Time, and in it,
Yep.
Orochi actually comes back and he fights. Godzilla. I'm not going to spoil the story or anything like that, but it is the very first issue in this, the very first chapter in this book, where Orochi makes his return, which is pretty cool. So definitely a surprise for those of us that thought he was pretty obscure and stuff. But so yeah, my answer is
This one,
right on,
correct,
Adrian.
Joe?
Yeah, thank you.
Raccoon.
So
You
yeah,
definitely-
my
let me-
favorite is Orochi. The one that I would like to see return would probably either be the Fire Demon or the Water Demon.
He kind of has continuity in GMK, very, very basic. Like when they're looking
Yeah.
at the guardian demons in the book, the
Mhm.
picture of Ghidorah, it's not he doesn't have big ass wings. He looks like Orochi more than anything else. So the continuity of that kaiju, just a big Hydra-esque multi-headed kaiju, it's kind of in the Godzilla universe.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny because, and that was another thing that kind of like drew me away from picking Orochi as my answers, because we've had so many like references, and I was gonna bring up the Rage Across Time comic book when Orochi did actually go up against Godzilla. We've had so many like properties circulated around that, not from Toho, but from other properties as well. And the one thing that I mean we've all would have liked to see is Godzilla going up against something of that of like the Kraken. The closest thing we've got to as of now lately, especially recently with San Diego Comic-Con, was the Godzilla versus Cthulhu, which is pretty dope. But again, that's what kind of like instantly just convinced me. Yeah, this is why I want the Water Demon.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about the story. How'd you guys like it? Could it have been better? Was it a little hard to follow?
Well, we kind of
Yeah, I know we kind of touched on that earlier, but Jordan, we'll start with you this time.
Listen, for a first timer watching it, my mind was all over the place. I'm not going to lie. But the more I've watched it, even like last night when I was watching it, I kind of got the sense of what they were trying to explain to the audience. But I feel like a lot of it was made up for, the special effects, the choreography, the obviously the kaiju in it, the music, the track. I feel like the track was amazing and very fitting for this movie. And it, again, like I brought it up to both Samson and Adrian beforehand when you purchased the movie. It reminds me a lot of the Never Ending Story. And
yeah, you were the one that said that. I was like, somebody
yes,
said mention that as like,
listen, Michelle knows this. She's right next to me. Obviously, she's driving.
I was gonna say.
I want to own specifically a ginormous white dog and name him Falcor. I absolutely love the movie. I loved it as a child, and this is what that movie, Orochi the Eight-Headed Dragon, reminds me a lot of.
Trying to think.
Obviously, two completely different stories, and one that's a lot more self-explanatory and understandable as opposed to Orochi, but nonetheless, I feel like it gets easily distracted away from just, again, the choreography and just the monster action. But nonetheless, it was okay-ish, I guess. It should have been something that's it could have been, more understandable, especially for a first-time viewer. I mean, I don't know if so you're in the same boat as me with that, Samson.
Yeah, we mentioned it a few times when you weren't here. It was a little hard to follow in the beginning. It started off a little confusing. I mean, there was the whole backstory concept where we're supposed to find out about all these different gods and stuff. But it was kind of like we were just thrown into it immediately, like, whoa, we're supposed to just understand this from the start. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. And trying to figure out who the human characters were in relation to each other, and just like the whole like who we are and aren't supposed to like. It became fairly obvious once the movie got going. It was like, oh, we like that guy and we hate this motherfucker. And but the story was semi-confusing, but it did pick up, and it was fantastical. The one that I referenced when I said like in comparison to was Willow, that 1980s fantasy film.
Yep.
With magic and monsters and heroes and old kind of like knights in armor kind of feel, like that kind of old-timey feel. I did like, as Joe's word is actually really good, the fantastical aspect, not concept. The fantastical aspect of the film was really cool. It was different, and fantasy, mythological, all the stuff. It was good. Again, slightly confusing, but still good.
Yeah, as the movie continued on, it got more and more like, okay, you know, you can kind of put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, it was still the whole like ancient gods and stuff, like figuring out who was bad. But we were like, okay, he's the hero, he's the villain, and go.
Yep.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I also have to agree too. It was kind of hard to follow in the beginning because at the beginning we think our hero. They'll claim that our hero is a demon, basically, and that he's the evil one, which was again super confusing. I was like, I guess he's the evil one. What's going on? Okay. And then all of a sudden, oh, his mom dies. He kills his brother that we didn't even know was his brother. It was just in the video games a lot of stuff to keep up with, and I was sitting there watching the movie, and I was like, I still don't know what's going on until like they started going on the quest for Zelda and stuff of that nature. And then at that point, it was like easier to follow. And once you got to that part, I was like, okay, this is a pretty fun story. Again, does it have its things that could have been better? Probably, but overall, I think it was a pretty cool story.
I'll tell you what was a little confusing to me. It almost felt like a side quest from the main story. Was when he went off to go fight, like the very long sword fight scene with that whoever that guy was, where the castle of the lava demon, and he had to fight that guy. It was like it was like, why? Who was he, and why did he have to go kill him? Is this a Red Dead Redemption side quest from the main actual like campaign of the game? Like why was he important to kill in this movie? I think because it was in Japanese, you know, I have kind of a hard time reading. It was a little hard to follow. Also, from the copy that I have, the subtitles are terrible. They jump around a little too fast. It was
well, I'm gonna say so. I have the dubbed movie.
Oh,
I am curious to see. I really want to see what it sounds like in English.
You guys have all brought up great points that I think really hinders this film. I do think the pacing at the beginning is just it feels very erratic.
Yeah,
that's a good word.
And it's like you think they're gonna stay on this one thing and kind of explain it more, but it's very kind of fast. It's we're here, we're there. It actually, in my opinion, takes until about halfway through the film, or maybe even a little bit more than halfway through the film, to where it kind of just stays focused on one thing. But by then your head's already been spinning a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it was like new character.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it was just a lot of interest. It's like, okay, here's a setup for this guy. And you're like, okay, this is the guy that they're going to be going against and fighting. And it's like, nope, this is just like a 10, 20-minute side quest, kind of like you said. And then it's on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And then finally at the end, it's okay. No, there's Katagiri, I forget his name, and Orochi. Like those are the main villains, and it's like, oh, okay. Like it's just weird because he shows up literally at the very end, and yeah. So it was definitely a little erratic, for sure. And the dubbing did not do the film any favors, in my opinion. It's quintessential, 90s Heisei era dubbing, where it's, hell, even Millennium era Showa era dubbing, that's just kind of, it's not great. You can recognize some of the voice actors though. They voiced some of the characters in the Godzilla films and Mothra films and things like that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, very erratic, very just kind of hard to follow. And I'm not one that says that pretty lightheartedly, because I can usually follow films pretty easily, but it seemed very erratic and very, it almost kind of seems like they didn't know what point they wanted to stick to.
Yeah.
It seemed like they had, 2, 3, 4 ideas or 4 directions for the film, and they're like, screw it, let's do them all, but overall, I mean,
had 5 different directors.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's it almost felt like there was 5 different people directing the tone or the shift of the film, and it just seemed erratic is the word that keeps coming to mind.
Good word.
Overall, I enjoy the general idea of the story, of there being good gods, evil gods, and monsters and warriors and magic. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, the Lord of the Rings versus Sinbad, Jordan, you say never ending story. Great idea. Great idea to have all those. I would love to see this movie kind of redone.
It's been 30 years.
Tighter. Yeah, I mean, tighter with more modern effects, and a little bit more of a cleaner story. I think could have been better. I'd give the story overall maybe like a 4 or 5 out of 10. I didn't hate it. I didn't
5
love
out
it.
of 10. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just kind of, It
existed.
It existed. It didn't. There was, when it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was bad. So it just kind of was. It evened out for me.
Joe, really quick, to piggyback on you saying that you actually own the dub version. Do they tell 2 different stories, like with the like how they did with 54, the Raymond Burr version, or is it just the same movie, same story? They just translated it into English.
Yeah, as far as I know, same story, just dubbed over. Like the other Heisei films and and things like that.
So it's not like the difference between American and Japanese Varan. It's not like that. So.
No.
Oh
no,
God.
no. No. There's no editing difference. There's no.
No, I was kidding. I was absolutely kidding.
American character. There's no added storyline or anything like that. It's just a complete dub of the Japanese film. So
I'd love to get my hands on it, but I know this is a rare film. The fact that I was able to find what I found was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I picked it up from Amazon, probably 15, like I said at the beginning, watched it in 2007 or 10 or something, so picked it up a long time ago from Amazon or eBay or something like that. Probably eBay, actually. I don't think I used Amazon back then, so yeah, probably eBay. So
I looked it up. The copies of it are fairly expensive, like the official release, because it only got a DVD release. Mine was a burn. I'm not gonna lie. It was a burn from somebody.
So next question. I'm kind of curious. How do you guys think this holds up compared to the other Heisei films that we've gotten? The Godzilla Heisei films, the Mothra Heisei films. I guess you could even say the Gamera Heisei films.
Ooh.
Real quick before, think about that for a second, guys. Just want to jump to the chat. We got Kaiju
Bayou. It's the Kaiju Bayou.
The fascist cat himself.
Fascist.
I want I want your avatar picture to be that cat with a little black feather mustache.
Or like every time Samson talks, like the bottom jaw just like gibbers and stuff like that, goes ups and
Well,
down.
like South Park, like
Yeah,
the
literally.
Canadians in South Park, right?
All right, so comparing this to the other Heisei films, the other Heisei Toku films that we've gotten, Adrian, I don't think I've started with you in a while.
Not a while.
Yeah, the man just turned 34. Come on, man. We gotta come on.
I thought it was 40.
34?
34.
You look like a rough 49.
I mean, happy birthday.
Anyways.
You ever seen that Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle? And he's like, oh, I'm 54. And Kevin Hart's like, damn.
Yeah.
And then he
Oh,
like,
shit. The
like, no, I'm
disrespect.
sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
Damn. No.
Honestly, I think it does hold up pretty well.
I can
Even
look
though
that up.
for me, the whole film kind of gave off Showa vibes in a sense.
Mm.
Okay.
Because I find that very weird. Because I mean, it's basically a Heisei version of a Showa film to me. So I think it holds up really well. Same with besides the CGI and Godzilla films. Just like all the other Heisei films kind of hold up pretty well nowadays. I think this film does too.
All right, right on. Samson.
All right. Well, I don't think anybody's gonna like my answer.
I think
Wanna
you're
meet
right.
myself.
So
Or,
I will tell you, I actually enjoyed this more than the Godzilla Heisei films.
Okay, yeah, I take it back.
I like this more than the Godzilla
Samson,
Heisei
thanks for
films.
joining us tonight. We appreciate your time.
But
GTFO.
I liked it more than the Godzilla Heisei films, but with my newly introduced ass to the Gamera trilogy again, or revisiting, I should say, I'll give the Gamera above this.
Do we have to revisit the Heisei Godzilla movies for you?
Yes, we do.
I mean, I own them.
Sounds like we need to have a watch along for the Heisei films.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be more fun with you guys.
give you a good little spanking too on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, I don't own it. Oh, it's on. Which ones are on HBO Max now?
Max.
Which ones?
Biollante and then Ghidorah.
I thought 84 was.
And
Yeah,
84,
84 is.
yes.
Oh.
So
Anyway, so yeah, my answer is I'll put it above the Godzilla stuff just because I got to piss you guys off, and then below Gamera. But I can't throw the Mothra in the ring because I haven't seen them yet.
Yep. All right.
So I guess that's going to be
To
my very
be determined then.
to be eventually.
Jordan.
It is a night and day comparison. It's unfortunately that movie is nowhere near a comparison, nor should it be standing next to what Godzilla has given us in the Heisei era, what Mothra has given us in the Heisei era, and what Gamera has given us in the Heisei era. And this is, for anybody still watching, even for anybody to come across this video later on, it is to not convince you guys to not give this movie a shot, because this is part of the adventure of being that of a Godzilla fan, or if not just that, but of a Toku fan. This is a gem, but it's a movie far in left field in comparison to that of what we've gotten within the other well-known named monsters within our community, such as who we had just mentioned. Shit, I'll even throw in Ultraman. You know, Dinah, Tiga, Cosmos. Oh my goodness, like that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
No, but just to add all three of those well-known, Toku heroes in Godzilla, Ultraman, and Gamera, like those are not anything that they could have compared it to. I will say the monsters themselves fit more better in Ultraman than they do Godzilla. but it's I don't know. Yeah, I know you love my dictionaries, Samson, and that's why you always tend to repeat what I say. But
Repeat
yeah,
what I
it's
say.
again, it is to not shy away from anybody who hasn't seen the movie to not watch it. It is still a highly recommended gem. But yeah, that would be it with trying to even compare or even try to have it stand next to what we've gotten in in the past and in the future after that film.
I agree. Honestly, I agree with everything you guys have said. More so, I'm
Except for me.
on the team with Jordan here. Everybody should check it out themselves. But I to compare it to Heisei, Godzilla is definitely w- leaps and bounds above. The Gamera trilogy is leaps and bounds
Oh my
above.
god.
I would even say the Mothra trilogy is leaps and bounds above.
Mhm.
But it's still a fun film. But we'll do our final thoughts later on it. So I don't want to spend too much on why you should check it out. But yeah,
It does suck that it's hard to find.
Yeah.
what?
It sucks that it's hard to find. Like I was fully willing to. I mean, I bought it for us, but you can't even rent it. There's no rentable even in Japanese, like on streaming services. It is. I can't remember if it was one of y'all at the beginning of tonight or last night. This is truly a hidden gem.
Mhm.
Yeah. We'll get on to the whole hidden gem thing next question. So second to last question here, guys. Um this was actually supposed to be the first film in a trilogy. So there was plans for Yamata
Ooh.
Takeru 2 as well as Yamata Takeru 3. Um Eric and I were doing a little digging the other day in preparation for this film, and a little fun fact: one of the monsters that was going to make an appearance in Yamata Takeru #2 was Bagan, and
Aha!
Really?
one of his many thought or
Cutting floor.
conceptual what's that?
I said on the cutting floor again.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the times that
Mhm.
one of the many times that Bagan or Bagan, however you want to say it, was meant to be
Was
in a
canceled.
film, and just was on the cutting room floor, like Samson keeps saying. Uh, it's unfortunate, I kind of would have liked to have seen a sequel. So I guess my question to you guys is, do you think this movie deserves a sequel? Would you have liked to have seen a sequel or a trilogy of these films? I'm gonna go ahead and go first on this one since I've already kind of in the weeds on my opinion here. I would have loved to have seen a sequel to this film. I do actually think that there was so much in this film that they almost could have drawn out the story a little bit more and cut this
Mhm.
film into almost 2 or 3 films, because there was just so much going on, as well as adding, like, Bagan or something that would have been cool. I think obviously everybody knows Bagan is the most, famous cut
Mhm.
monster in hell, in probably cinema. I mean, off the top of my head, I can probably rattle off 6 films that he was supposed to be in that never,
Mhm.
uh
Never happened.
yeah, never materialized. So, yeah, I don't
And
know. I would have
fruition.
been open to a sequel. I would have been. I can't say that I'm like disappointed or depressed that there's not a sequel to it.
Same.
Um,
I'll
I'm
never
more.
recover.
I'm more so interested in a remake instead of a sequel because I would like to see this with more modern effects, a little bit more modern storytelling, um, and see what they could do in the modern age. So, Jordan.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that they were supposed this was part one of what could have been a trilogy. The countless just possibilities that could have happened, including that of getting a Bagan figure in the 90s. Oh my goodness. And if not that, already having him established in some type of way, shape, or form. Um, but I mean, I agree with you, Joe. There is this magic that this movie has, no pun intended, that just I feel like it would have definitely have died out, or yeah, I guess yeah, it would have died out if they would have continued to push for a possible trilogy. So preferably I would have rather see, if they ever do possibly do this, or a proper remake, even if they just retell and give us a much more better understanding story, than
Much more better.
I know he keeps saying
yes,
that. Is that
much more
correct?
better.
It sounds so weird.
I don't know,
I mean, I'm not an
that's
English
a
teacher. I
Gerardo
have no
Adorno
idea.
thing.
Adorno.
Yeah, it's a much better idea.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
say
that would be my
I say
thing with that.
irregardlessly a lot.
You know what? I haven't noticed that.
I do it on purpose a lot.
Yes.
I
Go ahead. Sorry, I had
even
to.
if you
Continue.
Even more better.
But no, that would be my thought of that would be that. Shut up, Samson. That I would prefer for them to do a remake with, yet again, a much more better story.
Word. Samson, since you apparently have a lot to say tonight.
I've been pounding this energy drink ever since we started. So yeah, it would have been much more better to see a trilogy. That if that had come to fruition, I would have been really happy, but it unfortunately didn't. Is it much more better that it didn't? I don't know, but I would have loved to have seen a trilogy. It would have been neat to, yes, finally get that official bag-in release in the 90s, but cutting room floor. It just once again that it's a curse. The bag-in curse apparently is a thing. There was so much going on there. Joe, you stated that this movie could have been drawn out into maybe a couple, kind of Lord of the Rings style, because it was. The beginning of this film was rushed. It's like their journey across the countryside. It was like, okay, it took 15 minutes for them to travel across the entire planet to get from point A to point B. And it could have been drawn out. There could have been more adventures or what have you. But the concept that you guys are saying about a remake, yes, with modern day special effects, all that kind of stuff, it would kind of suck that it would take away the suitmation aspect of things, because I highly doubt that they would make a suit of any of these creatures. The potential is there, though. It's been 30 years. That's a comfortable amount of time to make a remake, I think. A much more better version of this film, if you will.
Yeah.
With a much more better and understanding of the story.
Yeah, much more better, for sure.
Yep.
Adrian.
I'm gonna trademark that.
Adrian, you're muted.
Yeah. Or you're just not talking loud enough.
Fuck you. Anyways, so as far as a sequel, honestly, of course, I want to see Baggin, just like everybody else does. But I wouldn't necessarily say a sequel. I would say that this film probably could have been chopped up into three different movies, or maybe even 4 different movies. Honestly, they honestly probably could have told the story a lot better. Just kind of separating the film that we did get to make it a really good trilogy, instead of having this movie and then now we're going to do it. Now we're going to do a sequel to it. So a sequel, not necessarily, but I would have loved to see this film be chopped up into different films, kind of like how you mentioned earlier too, Joe.
Yeah.
Right on. So to kind of put a button on this episode, a little bit of a shorter show this week, guys, as we are down a man, so we didn't have as many people talking. But I just want to get everyone's kind of final thoughts. What overall, what'd you think? Would you and Kyle Younts Kaiju Cast throwback, would you show this to a Godzilla newbie or to a Tokusatsu newbie, or do you think this should be more so towards an experienced or a bigger, much more better Toku fan? So yeah, what do you guys think? Adrian, go ahead.
So, Joe, you just cutting out a little bit. Can you repeat the question again for me, please?
Yeah, I just want to know your final thoughts, and I want to know if you would show this to a kaiju newbie, or if you would recommend that it's more so for like diehard Toku fans.
So, I kind of have this experiment home already because, as you know, my girlfriend, she's a new kaiju fan, and granted, she was tired. She passed out on it.
No.
So
A
I don't know.
woman not making it through a movie? Weird.
So I don't know if I'll show it to a brand new kaiju fan, but definitely someone who's been in the fandom for a little while and just looking for something other than Godzilla beating the shit out of people. I would definitely introduce to them as a nice fun film. And for me, I did really enjoy the film. I'm glad I actually watched it because it's something that has been that I've listened to you, Joe, and Eric talk about all the time about this film. So I was really glad I was able to sit down and watch it. I really enjoyed it. I'll revisit it probably a couple more times. Maybe not all the time, but it's definitely a fun film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out for sure. If you're a veteran kaiju fan, if you're a new kaiju fan, try to look into some of the other non-Toho films first before watching this one. And depending on your overall taste of things as well, if you're like Orochi or not.
All right. Samson.
Well,
no, I would I would recommend this to other kaiju fans because
puberty?
This movie was no, I would recommend this as a first-time viewer last night. I had a blast. It was a lot of fun. It was all over the place for sure, but that kind of stuff is I'm into that kind of thing. I'm into just like a wild turn your brain off kind of film. Well, at least when it finally got into the main part of the story. Yeah, the first half, you got to actually think. But the fact that it doesn't have any continuity with like anything else, really, it's its own story. It's its own universe. You could just show it to anyone. You don't really have to have any past references to watch this. It's its own thing, which makes it easy to just get somebody to dive straight into, I feel like. And it was a wild ride. It was a good story. It was everything about it was fun. Yeah. I last night I gave my initial thoughts and impressions because I had so much fun. It was a lot of fun watching that.
Right.
It was much more better than I expected.
Jordan, do you have a much more better thing to say?
Yeah, that without a shot of a doubt. No, but yeah, without a shot of a doubt. So no, seriously, I've like I said, I've recommended it to one of my close friends here in my hometown, and even like there is all literally that entire household sat back there and just watched the entire movie. Fantasy is a whole nother world that is, if not as big as the Godzilla community, but I think a lot more bigger. So it definitely branches out to a much more larger audience, and it's again, whether if you're a Godzilla fan or not, or even if
every time he says it, take a shot, you guys.
No, you quit that. But yeah, I'd recommend it to anybody, not even just a Godzilla fan. I'd even recommend it to those that again grew up with movies such as Star Wars, Never-Ending Story, and anything that involves again like that mystique in movies such as what Orochi did. It's something I'd recommend.
Right on. I want to highlight this real quick. Our moderator Oscar, I'm still hoping and praying we get a Monster Arts figure based off each badass design for this film. Fun fact, Oscar, there was a prototype of Itsunugani.
Yes.
Shown off at, I believe it was Comic-Con, maybe 10, 12 years ago. And it obviously never transpired into anything. So they definitely thought about it, but they never did it, which is unfortunate because that would have been really cool to see some figures that we don't really have a lot of representation for.
Mm-hmm.
But to wrap up here, my final thoughts quickly. Fun film. It's definitely not the greatest work of toku art by any stretch of the imagination. However, I think that if you are a diehard fan of tokusatsu in general, I think you should definitely check it out. It's worth a watch. Like we kind of established throughout the show, it is a fun kind of popcorn flick where you can turn your brain off. You're not going to be lectured to or stressed out with current events, and you're just going to be able to just go in and have fun, which is always what I'm looking for in a movie of this kind anyways. So I would not recommend it to somebody for their first toku film, but I would say probably middle of the road. Middle of the road once they've seen a bunch, and if they're actually interested in it, or if they're into those kind of things, then I would definitely show them Yamata Takeru. But overall, if you haven't seen it, it is worth a watch if you can track it down somewhere.
Good luck
to watch. Yeah, good luck. So with that, I will be Adrian. If you could throw up.
Ew. That.
So, a week from tomorrow is our Super Godzilla Day show. It is Sunday, November 3rd, a week from tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. It is going to be a 4+ hour show where we are going to be following all the news and updates from Godzilla Day. We are purposely starting it at that time because Godzilla Day will be rolling already in Japan. So we won't be necessarily live reacting to a lot of news, but we will be following it up very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And talking about all the new figure releases, talking about the new short, the new Godzilla, Jet Jaguar, King Ghidorah short. For the love of Pete, get a tissue. And any other new news that will be coming out that day. Hopefully, maybe we'll be getting a -1 sequel announcement or something of that nature. So yeah, news and discussion. Also, special guest, as Eric announced last week during our show, we are going to be joined by none other than motion capture actor Alan Henry, who played King Kong and Scar King in the Monsterverse, as well as other roles in other films. But we love him and adore him for his roles as King Kong and Scar King in the Monsterverse, as well as several other special guests that I don't think are going to announce quite yet, but look for it in this coming week. Toy merch reveals as they are revealed on Godzilla Day, and leading up to it, we will be talking about it. Giveaways. So we have all of us admins and moderators, whatever we all are, we've all went and used our own hard-earned money and bought some things to give away for G-Day. And all you have to do to win is subscribe to this YouTube channel and be a member of both. You have to do both. You have to subscribe to our YouTube channel and be a member of our Facebook group. And that's it. We'll put your name in a little synthesizer Wheel of Fortune type gimmick, and we'll pull your name. So yeah, make sure you're watching us live and you are subscribed, and you will be entered to win. It's truly, honestly, that simple. So again, that's going to be on Godzilla Day, which is next Sunday, a week from tomorrow, November 3rd, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Scan the QR codes below. Yeah, I think that's kind of it, guys. Thanks for joining. I know it was a little bit of a shorter episode. Wasn't a whole lot of meat to compare it to. We had to kind of stay on topic with this film because it wasn't like we could compare it to 30 some odd other Godzilla films or something like that. So and we were down a man. Eric, if you are watching, you were not missed. In fact, we had so much more fun without you.
It was very much more better.
It was much more better
That's
without.
right.
If you could never show up again, that would
Without
be
a shadow of a doubt.
Shadow of a doubt, shout of a doubt, or whatever. So yeah, with that, guys, make sure you are always following all of our social medias. We at the Monsters with Attitude are active on all of them. Check the ticker tape right below. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, the platform formerly known as Twitter, now X. We have Twitch every week, right, Samson?
Yes, is as much as I can. Excuse me. As much as I can, I try to throw some gaming at us. But every Saturday, it's usually on Saturdays. Saturday evenings, we will do some sort of a cinematic adventure. Again, we did it yesterday just because of the fact that we were doing this discussion right now. But every Saturday, we do some sort of I haven't seen it before. Holy crap, movie. And we're running out. We're running out on the list. So I guess after that, yeah, we can revisit the Heisei series, I guess. And thanks to everybody last night, we have officially hit affiliates on our Twitch channel. We can now do more. We can now have more going on, do more. We can produce sound alerts and stuff like that. So I want to thank folks for making that happen as of last night.
Thank you to all the fans that make us much more better.
Yep.
All right, so to round it out, we also are on Spotify. If you guys don't have time to sit here and watch our beautiful faces every week, we do eventually upload our videos to Spotify. So you can take us on the road with you if you're going on a road trip or if you're working or whatever and need something to listen to pass the time. Check us out on Spotify. We are uploading our videos there, or our shows there, not our videos. So, all right, guys, I think that'll do it. Adrian, Jordan, Samson, I appreciate you guys making the time out of your very busy schedules and helping me yeah, right. Helping me make this show as best as it can be. Guys, always make sure, like I said, you're subscribed, hit that notification bell. You're going to want to know when we go live. We always have so many fun and special things going on here at the MWA, whether it's unboxings, toy reviews, special guest interviews. We've had the pleasure and the honor of sitting down with many people from our childhoods, and it's just been a blast, whether it's been Stephanie Nadolny, the voice actress of Goku and Gohan. We had Alan Henry on, who's become a friend. He's just a freaking awesome guy. Like I said, he played Kong and Scar King. We had David Fielding, the original Zordon of Power Rangers, on our show. We've had many others. I'm not going to list them all because there's too many and I don't want to forget. But it's always a blast, so make sure you guys video game voices, yes. It's always a blast, so make sure you guys are always subscribed and following our social medias so you know when our next video is and things of that nature. Guys, thanks for tuning in. To my co-host, thank you guys again. All of our live watchers, you guys are the best, and all the ones that are going to be watching in the future, we love you too. All right, I think that'll do it. Take care of yourselves and each other. Adrian, take us out of here with always.
As always, everybody, everyone's opinions matter, good, bad, or indifferent. Just remember to embrace
the attitude.
Embrace the attitude. All
or
right.
else.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.